It's Saturday, and Sanjo is waking up early. He greeted his still-sleeping roommate, who pretended to be sleeping. Gasper did not like Sanjo, and Gasper's companion, Captain, didn't like Sanjo either. The kid was up early, doing stretching and squats. His running clothes were noisy, and today he was loudly singing marching songs in the shower. Sanjo was looking in the mirror, making sure his blue jogging suit was spotless before committing to a morning run. The black rims around his eyes hadn't healed yet, and he still didn't have a new pair of glasses. "You're short," a woman's voice said in his head. He tried to ignore it, but thoughts like this had been jabbing him since yesterday, and it was getting to him. "I'm not short," he muttered. Sanjo left to get Cassie, so Gasper and Captain could go back to sleep. Sanjo kept tugging at his hair on the way. Orion followed. Sanjo didn't really need a lot of help getting up early, and he didn't need Orion for much of his morning routine. "Are you going to eat before you run?" Orion asked. Sanjo shook his head. "No, I like to eat after," he answered, not really looking at Orion. "Can I do anything for you, Sanjo?" Orion pleaded for a task.
"I don't know," Sanjo said, stopping.
"Do you think I'm short?" he asked, looking at Orion. Orion didn't hesitate.
"Yes."
"However, I don't think it's the impairment that you do," he answered, and Sanjo continued walking. "Is there someone you want to impress, Sanjo?" "Perhaps Cassie," he suggested, trying to get Sanjo to say something. Sanjo looked confused when he mentioned Cassie.
"What?"
"No, I'm not trying to impress anyone," Sanjo said, hanging his head. "It's the woman I saw when I was struck by lightning."
"She's still talking to me," he said.
Orion floated ahead, concerned. "I really thought you were imagining it," he said seriously. "It's gotten worse. I know it's the woman. She picks on me consistently. I don't think it's an injury," he said, reporting to Orion like he would to a superior. "She has mostly been laughing at me for being short.
She knows it bothers me."
I believe she is probing my defenses," Sanjo finished, and kept walking with Orion. Orion flickered, trying to process the information. "What do you mean? This is in your mind. Don't you have a measure of control over this?" Orion interrogated Sanjo, trying to figure out how bad it was. Sanjo didn't really know how to tell him. "No, she is a real person," he said calmly. "I know this because she doesn't actually know what would really get to me," Sanjo whispered to Orion. "Do you think it would be safe to say it out loud?" Orion said, thinking like Sanjo now. "No, I don't," Sanjo said seriously. "I was thinking we find Professor Silvestri later, based on what Emily told me. It should be easy to make an excuse to see him." Sanjo kept his gaze forward, now almost marching to the girls' Fortuna dorms. "I have a good plan, I think," Sanjo affirmed as they went to get Cassie. The girls' Fortuna dorm was quiet, and Sanjo's jumpsuit made a recognizable sound. Sanjo wasn't supposed to be in the girls' dorm, but over the past few days, he had seen other boys going in and out. He felt comfortable. He strode to Cassie's room and knocked on her door. It didn't take her long to open it. She poked her head out at Sanjo. "Hey, are we running on the weekend too?" she said, obviously very tired. Sanjo remembered she had been to a party the night before. "I'm sorry, Cassie." "You don't have to," he apologized. Cassie stepped out, closing the door behind her. "No, let's go running," she said, stretching and yawning, showing Sanjo she hadn't changed her bandages yet. "Cassie, you can't run in sandals, your band-aids are filthy. You should go back to bed," Sanjo suggested to her, but she hushed him. Cassie listened at her door for a second, then whispered, "I don't want to get my shoes. Let's just go, okay?" she pleaded quietly. "Yeah, sure, Cassie," Sanjo said, leading her out. Orion noticed that Cassie had left without Supri. "Where is Supri?" Orion asked as they passed the intersection for the girls' and boys' Fortuna dorms. Cassie waved Orion off.
"He's fine."
"I just want to run without him today," she assured him. Sanjo saw she didn't really want to talk. "Maybe you could borrow my shoes? We can go back to my room and get my boots. I'm used to running in them," Sanjo said, kicking off a shoe for Cassie. Cassie was slipping on Sanjo's shoe when she heard some girls giggling at them. "It's just a shoe, guys," she called them. In response, they waved. "Hi, Sanjo," they cried, waking up anyone who might have been sleeping nearby. They blew kisses at Sanjo, teasing Cassie. "It's fine," she said, hopping on one foot as Sanjo kicked off his other shoe for her. Cassie left in a hurry, leaving Sanjo slightly behind. Together, they went to get his boots, disturbing Sanjo's roommate again. Having shown up late to run with the group, they were well down the trail that went almost all the way around the school. Sanjo was in the back, and everyone kept pace with Cassie. He wanted to keep a better pace, as he had a habit of getting lazy over the summer. The past few days were invigorating. Sanjo looked ridiculous with his tracksuit tucked into his army boots. "Why did I do that?" he said, pulling his pant legs free from his boots, causing him to fall behind. "Well, that's not right either," he said, falling behind a little more. Orion stopped with him. "What's wrong?" he asked. "The voice says I look stupid," Sanjo said, breathing deeply as he sprinted off to catch Cassie. Orion followed, wanting to help. All of the attacks seemed dedicated toward changing your appearance. Orion tried not to be too loud as he stayed with Sanjo. He caught up with the group in no time. Sanjo called to Cassie, "I'm going to go check something out." He suddenly veered off the trail into the treeline. Orion was confused. Sanjo stopped at the treeline, breathing heavily. "Did you see it?" he shouted at Orion, pointing into the woods. Orion didn't see anything. "There, 2 o'clock. I see you," Sanjo whispered. "You don't see her?" he whispered angrily. Orion didn't respond. "Past that big birch tree in the bushes." "She sees us." He continued to peer into the trees. Orion paused. "Sanjo, you can't see that far without your glasses," Orion said. "Sure I can," Sanjo disagreed, stepping into the woods. Orion bounced up and down in front of Sanjo. "Sanjo, you are acting crazy. Even if she is out there, it would probably be a trap or something. Can you even tell me what she's wearing?" Orion asked, trying to reason with him. "She's I don't know," he said, trying to focus in the distance. "I don't think you really see her. You are imagining that you do," Orion pleaded with him. Sanjo relented and turned away. "Yeah, it's a lure. She wants me to wander out there," he said, disappointed. Sanjo was able to catch up with Cassie at the front door. She waited to give Sanjo his shoes back, and most of the boys from the running group left as soon as Sanjo showed up. Sanjo thought they must be excited for breakfast. They went into the cafeteria together with Sanjo still carrying Cassie's sandals, having already forgotten to give them back. Orion watched Cassie and Sanjo go into the cafeteria. He waited behind with the other companions. Sanjo grabbed Cassie by the hand and pulled her away. Orion shifted his position so he could see. Because it was the weekend, Mr. Norbert had wheeled a television into the cafeteria and was playing Saturday morning cartoons. It was usually Professor Silvestri who supervised this tradition, but he was absent today. On the far side of the cafeteria, mostly first-year students gathered to look at the toys Mr. Norbert had brought. It was a number of plastic military vehicles and action figures to accompany them. Sanjo was poring over the various vehicles while Cassie stood behind. "I had a lot of these toys and all the catalogs, but I don't recognize any of these," he said, gasping. "What about these guys?" Cassie giggled, getting into the action figures. "No, I'm an expert on the Rainfire Battalion," he said, playing with one of the tanks and checking the copyright date. "This doesn't make sense," he stammered. Cassie didn't really care. They were just toys. She found one with blue hair and bothered Sanjo with it. "Hey, look, it's your girlfriend," she said, putting the action figure into the seat of the tank. The voice in Sanjo's head was laughing at him for playing with toys, but he tried to ignore it. "Actually, Cassie, she does," he agreed, trying not to talk about it. Cassie couldn't help herself. "Have you heard from her since?" she asked. Sanjo was getting annoyed. "Yeah, actually I might write her a little love letter," he said, pushing the tank to Cassie. Cassie smiled. "Oh yeah? That'd be cute. What would you tell her?" she asked, nudging Sanjo playfully. "I'd tell her I'm not that short, and I'm gonna prove it," Sanjo said, looking down at another toy vehicle. "Did she say you were short?" Cassie asked, craning her head down to talk to his face. Sanjo shook his head. "Hey, let's just get some cereal and watch TV," he replied, trying to get her to talk about something else. Sanjo was pretty quiet, enjoying a totally original version of his favorite show with new characters. Mr. Norbert was refusing to answer too many questions except that he watched this show as a child. Cassie stayed for an entire episode but left with some friends shortly after. It was only a few short days ago that he could stay home and sleep in. He had soft sheets at home, and his mom was nice to him. His mom liked picnics and riding bikes together. Sanjo didn't hear the voice anymore and was taking the chance to soften up. "Sanjo, my boy." He heard his mother calling behind him. He turned around, and there she was in full uniform. Commandante Valencia, a capable member of her nation's Air Force. It was Ms. Sable pointing Sanjo out to her. "Mom," Sanjo cried, and the entire cafeteria turned around to see Sanjo's mom run up to him and clutch his head in either hand. "What happened to your beautiful eyes? Why didn't you call? Why did I hear it from a teacher first?" She assaulted him with a barrage of questions. A student started laughing, and Sanjo's mother cast him a stern glare before returning to Sanjo. "Mom, stop," he pleaded. She wailed and hugged him. "They said you got struck by lightning," she cried, and other students were whispering. "Please, let's just go outside, okay?" he asked his mom, holding her at arm's length so she couldn't smother him. He had to hold his mom's hand to get her out the door. Orion joined, amused by how protective Sanjo's mom was. Once they were outside, Orion tried to introduce himself. "Hello, my name is Orion," he stated, but she ignored him and started to straighten out her uniform while Sanjo explained how he tried to save Jason and Emily. "I'm pretty sure you're coming home, Sanjo. You didn't save any of your friends and everyone got hurt," she said, trying to be gentle. Sanjo stamped his feet at her. "No," he shouted. "I will not," he continued to protest. Orion floated in between them, seeing his mom grab him by the ear. "Please, miss." He was slapped aside harshly before he could say more. "Hey!" Sanjo pulled away from his mom and stood in front of Orion. "He's in my squad. He's assigned to me," Sanjo ordered. His mom thought he was adorable. She couldn't help it. "Okay, Caballero Cadet Valencia, tell your man to learn the rules," she ordered and put her hands on her hips. Sanjo stood upright. "I'm sorry, he won't step out of line again," Sanjo apologized. "I'm not speaking out of turn if I inform you. I have a squad and a mission to accomplish. I cannot return at this time, Commandante." He tried his best to be very formal. "Where was he when you were struck?" His mom interrogated him, trying to find assurance he was safe and knew what he was doing. "Orion could not fly high enough. I left him behind," he reported. She pointed at the observatory in the distance. "That dish is massive. There is no way a shorty like you could climb all the way to the top," she further drove him to answer. "Not only did I climb up, but I climbed back down blind," he was shouting, losing his composure. His mom hugged him. "Okay, you can stay." She hushed him, patting him on the back to the snickers of other students watching. Sanjo didn't really care about the teasing. "What's your little mission, honey?" his mom asked sweetly, hoping for an innocent answer. Sanjo tried his best. "There was a lady in the lightning bolt. I'm going to try to confront her. 2 of my friends might have seen the same lady, so I want to find out who she is," he said, hoping his mom would believe the simple explanation because he didn't know all the answers himself. Sanjo's mother looked at Orion. "Is this true, Orion?" she asked the companions seriously. "Yes, Commandante," Orion said, respecting her authority. Orion was happy to be considered a member of Sanjo's squad. Somehow, he was family. "That sounds crazy, Sanjo," his mother told him, putting a hand on his brow. "I don't think you're sick." "I'm not," Sanjo replied. "You wouldn't lie to me?" "No, Mom." Orion watched Sanjo affirm his safety for a few minutes, while his mom always had another question. He had never met anyone's mother before. He guided his mom around the school and showed her his classrooms, most of them empty, because it was Saturday. He showed her Gym 13, where children were currently playing dodgeball. His mother followed with a stern look and her hands behind her back. Her serious demeanor was easily broken by Cassie when she ran up to Sanjo as they passed the laundry room. She was still in her pajamas and still hadn't changed the bandages on her arms. "Sanjo, we are all doing laundry. Jason broke one of the machines," she said, thinking his mom was maybe a teacher. "Is this one of your friends?" Sanjo's mom asked. Before Sanjo could answer, Cassie did. Yes, I run almost every morning with Sanjo. He helps me with my homework, and we hang out all the time, she said. Sanjo was filled with cold social dread as his mom pointed at her shoes instead of introducing herself. Why does she have your shoes, Sanjo? Why are you wearing your boots with a tracksuit? You are not supposed to take your uniform with you, she interrogated and scolded Sanjo at the same time. Cassie realized this was Sanjo's mom as she had started tugging his ear. Sanjo was pleading with his mom again. Cassie giggled and wanted to help Sanjo, but his mom had pulled him away, scolding him all the way to the socio dorms. Entering Sanjo's dorm room, his mother gasped at how messy it was. She wasn't impressed at all. His bed wasn't made, his uniform was half hanging out of his drawer, and worst of all, his toothbrush and hairbrush were just in the middle of the sink. Sanjo was usually so confident in presenting his room, he had forgotten. He really did leave it like this. He has a habit of getting lazy. If no one is watching, he's not very responsible. Gasper, sitting on the side of the bed, knew about Sanjo's army lifestyle and could see the fear in his eyes. Hi, Sanjo, he said, shooting up off the bed. We didn't know your mom was coming. Sanjo started to put his clothes back into his drawer in a panic. Gasper had strict parents too, and was pretty sympathetic. He could tell Sanjo's mom was about to scold him hard. We messed up your room, as a joke, you know? Gasper lied, trying to save Sanjo. Captain floated over to support Gasper.
Yes.
Because you are so tidy. We believed you would react in a way we would find humorous, he added, blinking slightly. Orion joined in too. Many things are out of place indeed. Good job, Orion said. Sanjo's mother eyed Orion for a moment. Yeah, we used to do that too, she said, suspecting they were lying. You have good friends keeping you on your toes. She patted Sanjo on the back. He flinched, confirming her suspicions. That little voice in Sanjo's had giggled as it found what Sanjo was really hiding. Although Gasper and his mom helped him clean his room, Sanjo couldn't shake the paranoia. The lunch menu would be available soon in the cafeteria, and it was Sanjo's job to treat his mom to a picnic. He had done this before, and though she often embarrassed him with this tradition, he was used to it. Together, his mom and Orion were walking past Professor Silvestri's office. He had been waiting for Sanjo and poked his head out the door. My trooper Sanjo, he said, stepping out. Eager to meet Sanjo's mother, he kissed her hand. Good day, ma'am, he greeted her, trying to be charming. To her, however, he appeared disheveled and rude, as he hadn't shaved in days. Excuse me? Sanjo's mom shouted, recoiling her hand away from him. Sanjo was embarrassed. What are you doing, Professor? He scolded his teacher.
What?
Oh yes, I'm so sorry, he apologized, folding his hands together. I'm Professor Silvestri, he introduced himself, putting his hands in his lab coat. You are the one that called about Sanjo then? Sanjo's mom asked sternly, eager to get to the point. Professor Silvestri looked confused for a moment. Yes, I called you.
We spoke already.
Why don't you come in, and I'll hear any concerns you have, he lied. Professor Silvestri had never called. Someone else had called Sanjo's mother. She ordered Sanjo to wait outside and led Professor Silvestri into his own office. Don't let me hear you refer to my boy as Trooper again. She ordered Professor Silvestri, and the door closed with their conversation being muffled but obviously starting with the state of the professor's office. It had been a long, embarrassing day. Sanjo's mom had decided to let him stay at the school. She didn't think the school was amazing and paid little attention to the AI companions, except for Orion. They ate on the school grounds, with Sanjo having prepared everything needed for a picnic. He filled his mother's cup and made her a plate with a sandwich and fresh fruit. She sat upright but constantly congratulated him on his good manners. Marisol watched from the steps of the school, oblivious to her own feelings. She didn't like how Sanjo's mom treated him. She sighed, and her companion said nothing this time. Procyon had observed Sanjo more keenly than Marisol. He knew that Sanjo wouldn't be able to receive Marisol's feelings. Sanjo just hasn't grown up enough yet.
When I came to you, there were things that I wouldn't say. I will lie, I won't even say my name. The things that I do were not meant for you, but you make me shine in the way that I do, just for the things that I